So the record just had to be something that I can connect to.
Why just a single word for every song?
It just,
and did it get hard when you start thinking like, damn?
Oh, that's too songs.
Like, what am I? Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
if you can see that list was like Scrabble, man, trying to figure out what emotion captured the actual lyrics. So I write a verse and do the whole song, and then I feel or look at words that I feel like capture that emotion.
Drake is the saddest, softest, and most embarrassing person we have ever seen in hip-hop history. And this is becoming more and more evident as everyone comes to terms with the fact that he has fallen to such a low that he is actually suing over a rap beef. Drake has demonstrated that nothing is ever off the table for him when it comes to making any kind of odd or dubious action. In the span of a month or two, he went from submitting a petition over Not Like Us to actually pursuing a whole lawsuit. And when we look at the pattern of decisions he has already made, we can see that in addition to confirming his reputation as the biggest loser to ever step on a microphone, Drake has now made it clear that beyond ever trying or doing one thing that would ever be a step in the right direction, this pitiful and resentful man, who we all now know more than ever on the inside, doesn't even care about his own image anymore. And it's obvious that Drake's only goal now is to not help himself as a normal person would, but to try and ruin everything and everyone and hopefully have it all go down with him. This is evident from his label, UMG, to everyone else he has been against, including LeBron James, about whom Drake naturally spread some nasty rumors. The next logical step for the most pitiful and humiliating collapse we have ever witnessed from a single artist in hip-hop history would be to simply do what he has been waiting to do since the summer of 2024, which is to sue Kendrick Lamar directly, given the actions Drake has already taken and the way he has been tugging at strings to try and argue that he has been a victim of the entire music industry. Please be sure to like and subscribe before we get any deeper into what Drake appears to be waiting for and his strategy to make it even more irredeemable than his last one. Therefore, it goes without saying that Drake, a weak and insecure man, is the first rapper to file a lawsuit due to the consequences, repercussions, and affects of a rap feud on him. Drake has always been the one preventing rap from returning to the level that Kendrick and this feud have set in the first place. So it's obvious that he isn't just being actively shunned from the entire rap music industry, but he no longer gives a damn about his public image. It's also evident that Drake has reached a point where hip-hop has started to turn back into a force that is more in tune with its roots and, as a result, more honest about what is and isn't allowed and respected in the culture. Regarding crash outs, it's quite odd that Drake has just come out and served paperwork that aims to redefine and alter the parameters that all lyricists have used to transform rap into one of the most culturally significant art forms that we have ever seen, before even attempting to release a proper comeback album or anything else that might have saved his reputation a little. However, Drake's apparent victim and loser mentality has caused him to act without regard for how his actions will affect not only other people, but also his own reputation and legacy. Naturally, I believe that everyone should be able to look at what has happened and say with absolute certainty that aside from a comeback, Drake has no future. Sincerely, the instances, from a poor response track to unsuccessful single releases and features, to humiliating social media remarks, to a full-scale lawsuit, speak for themselves. Since Drake has already demonstrated how devastating losing a competition can be, we just cannot rule out the possibility that he may continue to lose. Drake has simply gotten increasingly insane and disconnected from reality. And I firmly believe that Drake will somehow manage to shock audiences like never before by suing Kendrick Lamar for defamation over everything he said in Not Like Us. Unless something happens in this time frame where UMG is able to put this thing away and embarrass Drake very soon. And now, in addition to the absurd claims Drake made in the UMG lawsuit regarding Kendrick's bars, we don't even have time to describe how outrageous some of the reaches Drake was attempting to make there. Many more will undoubtedly be made public in an attempt to support his claims. But in the end, they will be so absurd that they will not only backfire on Drake, but also boost Not Like Us' streams once more. Drake's losses only lead to more wins for Kendrick, because every time he cries about this song, it only serves to highlight how poor his strategy is. This record isn't just growing in popularity every time Drake utters it, it's also becoming more significant as a record for the entire history of hip-hop and music in general. Naturally, Drake wants to try to at last figure out how to make up for the loss he suffered in his spat with Kendrick Lamar. If Drake truly pursues Kendrick, I believe this is the last phase of his plan to try and do anything to alter history, as he has literally failed in every single way he could have attempted to, not only to avoid losing, but also in what has obviously caused this crash out to the extent we have witnessed, to spare his own ego from ever having to have a reality check. Even though he is currently facing off against UMG, hip-hop has already lost respect for him. And we all saw through his ploy to target his label for Not Like Us, rather than Kendrick directly, because it has always been so clear why this is all happening in the first place. Drake's only advantage in this situation is that he has already lost a lot and is treated with no respect in the first place. This would essentially turn the entire move into a pettiness game in which he is playing to undermine others rather than to improve himself. In regards to Drake's lawsuit against Kendrick, the situation is particularly troubling because with regard to Kendrick Lamar's song Not Like Us, we are about to enter a period of time in which both the record and Kendrick will receive more attention from the general public than they have ever experienced. Naturally, this whole thing will get much more bizarre because the Grammys are on February 2nd and Not Like Us is expected to win numerous honors. Following that, the Super Bowl will take place. With all of Drake sobbing and the actual suit at hand, the stakes for someone taking the stage and performing a record have never been greater. Thus, Kendrick's performance will really be more important than the game at this moment. Although some believe Drake has been trying to persuade the NFL to prevent Kendrick Lamar from playing Not Like Us, it appears that he has been working behind the scenes to make this happen. Drake even collaborated with the NFL not too long ago in an attempt to establish some sort of relationship with him, and his decision to release all of these claims at this time appears to be a very deliberate attempt to scare the NFL away from allowing Kendrick to perform a record that is already being scrutinized like never before. Even though Drake is doing all of this, I don't think he has had any success since the people who choose the music for this event aren't going to give in to Drake because Jay and Kendrick were not on good terms with him. Knowing Kendrick and anticipating when the song will play, regardless of the verse we hear or even if it's just a hook, will make the moment obvious and the message apparent, even if he is told not to even play the clean version of some portions of the album. One person, however, is waiting for this chance to do the most repulsive and heinous thing that someone who has ever identified as a lyrical competitor has ever done, while the rest of the world will be celebrating hip-hop greatness and everything Kendrick has done when the Super Bowl occurs. Because Drake's entire career is in a depressing state, and between the Grammys and the Super Bowl, along with these pitiful suits driven by victim mentality that he loves discarding more than actual music at this point, these two events will add to whatever he is going to try to build up, and ultimately say Kendrick Lamar has done to him. Furthermore, if you thought Drake's victimization in the first suit was bad, just think of how much Drake will complain and exaggerate every moment of reality in order to portray Kendrick Lamar's performance to more than 100 million people as a performance designed to ruin his career. Drake has once again established the standard and precedent that he will do anything to try and keep his own fragile ego from ever facing the truth, that he lost this rap beef because Kendrick simply prepared more and is a better MC. And now, after creating this larger narrative that he is falsely trying to push, all of these people and major entities are against him, to even all the other stops he is going to pull out in this time. And now, in keeping with everything we've previously seen, this would truly be the culmination of Drake's potential and the worst collapse we've ever watched from a rapper. The fact that Kendrick Lamar has a short-term contract with UMG, which implies that he will be completely autonomous after a few more albums, is also significant to mention here and provides context for where Drake's mind may be. This is significant since at the time of Drake's initial appeal, UMG advised him to target Mr. Duckworth personally if he had any issues with Kendrick and the song he wrote. And depending on how things work out, Drake might be waiting for label approval so he doesn't appear as weak as he otherwise would. Or so he doesn't have to deal with two of these things at once, even more than simply waiting for everything to fall into place so he can play the biggest victim card ever. Overall though, Drake will continue to be the antagonist of hip-hop, and in fact, the worst thing that has happened to the genre in a long time, regardless of where he goes from here. He is attempting to alter the entire laws of rap, beef, and lyrical in general, since he is now at this stage with his label and has the potential to become Kendrick Lamar very soon. And honestly, with everything going on, there is no way for him to get better from here. At this point, and I'm sure we'll see it, all he can do is keep finding ways to damage his reputation and remove his legacy from every conversation until he may be unable to do so anymore. So after all of this, tell me how you believe the whole Drake scenario is developing and how you anticipate things to turn out moving forward. Right now, I'm eager to hear your thoughts. Additionally, if you watch the entire video, please remember to subscribe and like it. It really helps me out. Now, if you want to know why I believe Drake's recent actions are the worst in hip-hop history, watch the recommended video.